The Civil War ends, and the slaves are free through the voice of Abe. Yay, we're free! Woohoo! Abe gets shot. Much mayhem begins.
I got you, Abe. Pow.
Oh no, you got me! The blacks were finally gaining rights. Hey, John Coffey, did you hear we can vote now?
Well, I be down.
But then the Jim Crow laws were established. The Reconstruction finally ends. Black men couldn't exercise their right to vote. Stop right there. But we've got our rights. I know my rights. The whites began to take over Indians.
Hey, Indians, give us your land.
No, no, no.
This means war.
This started wars between the whites and the Indians. Shortly after, all the buffalo were killed. Along came the immigrants.
Railroads were the first big business and the first industry to develop a large-scale management bureaucracy. Using picks, shovels, wheelbarrows, and horse-drawn carts, Chinese laborers largely helped construct the Central Pacific Track. Technological advances transformed daily life. Thomas Alva Edison stands above all inventors. Edison invented the phonograph, the first light bulb, and many more. There were several entrepreneurs that stand out for both their achievements and their special contributions to history. John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie for their innovations in organization, J. Pierpont Morgan for his development of investment banking, and Richard Sears and Alva Roebuck for their creation of mail-order retailing. Because of the need to put food on the table, many parents believed that they had no choice but to send their children out to get jobs. Although the children did get jobs, they were hardly ever safe. By 1900, there were almost 2 million child laborers in the U.S. Workers were fed up for not being able to organize unions. Because of this, many workers had unplanned strikes in response to wage cuts and other grievances, which often led to violence. After a while, many unions grew, but as the recession came in, many collapsed. The only one that kept growing with the members was the Knights of Labor. They allowed everyone in except doctors, lawyers, bankers, and those who sold liquor. The desire for good jobs led people to the cities. The contrast between city and farm people grew with each year that passed. With the growing population, many problems grew in the city, like corruption, waste on the streets, and crowded housing. The cities brought in many immigrants who believed that they were coming for a better life, but what they got was exploitment and hostile treatment. Popular culture was a big thing in the cities. Because they had more money and were mobile, they spent their leisure time with their families. They would play cards, go to Wild West shows, vaudeville shows, and spectator sports. If men wanted to go out by themselves, they might go to a saloon, otherwise known as the poor man's social club, with 5-cent beer or 15-cent whiskey. Because the cities were congested with people and disease, many city people would do outdoor sports in order to get some fresh air. Because of many illiterate immigrants, the spread of public education grew in order to Americanize the immigrants. Also, women's colleges opened up because the demand for higher education grew. Science became a big thing. Charles Darwin's theory of evolution brought on a lot of controversy.
Politics became a major factor within America, which led to the Gilded Age. During this time, people like William Boss Tweed used corrupt tactics to influence voters and gain power. Hear ye, hear ye. It is I, William Tweed. Follow me, and I guarantee you a new life with new opportunities. Oh. Yay, yay, we are finally saved. During this time of corrupt politics, people stayed loyal to their political parties, but because of all the dishonesty going on behind doors, groups like the Mugwumps wanted an honest candidate. So they went against their party and voted for Grover Cleveland.
We are tired of the dishonesty and want an honest president. Grover Cleveland is the right man for the job.
Towards the end of the 19th century, many farmers were in debt because of domestic overproduction and increasing competition overseas. Tariffs were set in place, which made it harder for farmers to buy needed goods.
I ain't got no money 'cause them damn foreigners keep taking our customers and them people up in Washington keep raising the prices on everything.
The farmers' increasing frustration led to the Granger movement and formation of farmers' alliances to promote farmer-owned businesses throughout the Midwest and South.
If the government ain't gonna help us, then we just gonna have to do things ourselves.
This movement led to the rise of populism. Although its members did have some success, they were unable to recover from the defeat of their candidate in 1893 and eventually faded out. Along with the election of Theodore Roosevelt as president, progressivism emerged with followers who looked to reform and regulate in order to ensure social justice. Issues like urban poverty, unsafe working conditions, and child labor were major issues that most of the public was unaware of. A group of reporters, recognized as the muckrakers because of President Roosevelt, brought these issues to the public through several books and articles. President Roosevelt was a part of the progressive movement and used his platform to promote his Progressive Square Deal program that was intended to give the average American a fair share under his policies. Howard Taft eventually took over as president and continued the progressive movement. The Republican bosses, however, were unhappy with the proposed tariff reductions. This led to Roosevelt's unsuccessful attempt to be reelected because Democrat Woodrow Wilson gained the victory. Wilson, who also believed in the progressive movement, went in a different direction than Roosevelt. He wanted less government involvement and to return to traditional democratic policies. He led in the establishment of the Federal Reserve System. However, he believed blacks were inferior and supported segregation.
The desire for
We are tired of the dishonesty and want an honest president. Grover Cleveland is. Oh my God! Wait.